All right, I think we've got most everybody in here. So, hey, how's it going, everybody? Everybody okay? Enjoying their Saturday? Welcome, come on in. We haven't even officially started yet. Find a spot. Hello, hello. Get out of the heat. Take a seat, everybody. So, is this anybody's first time at Tech Alley? Is this okay, cool. We got a couple of first timers here. A few of you have been here before. Awesome. How many people have actually come in and attended the Who's Got My Money talk normally given by Kurt? Okay, cool. I'm going to, this is for you guys then. I'm clearly not Kurt Walker, nor do I have his expertise in this particular field. He's been in the venture capital space for many, many years, and I've been more on the sales and marketing side. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, about how sales is, in my opinion, the best form of capital when it comes to raising money for your startup. So it is now officially 11 a.m., so I'm going to respect everybody's time and get started. So it is good to see so many bright and eager faces. At least I can kind of see some of you here. On a Saturday morning in Las Vegas. I don't know if any of you guys were out late on a Friday, but yeah, it's great to see people here on a Saturday morning, so thank you for showing up. So I'm going to assume you're either very super interested in learning how to raise capital for your startup, or you just maybe heard that they've got free coffee and food later, so, you know. So thank you for putting up with me until lunch. But either way, I'm happy to be here. So my name is Jeff Celentano, and for anybody who might be wondering, again, I'm not Kurt Walker. I'm not even a reasonable facsimile thereof. But Kurt and I have been very good friends for about 10 years now in the tech and startup scene here in Las Vegas. So I'm the substitute teacher today while he is out, I think, in Europe with his family, taking some seeing in the sights or whatever. Hello, welcome, come on in.
Hello!
Hello!
I'm coming on in.
Oh my goodness, is that Josh?
It's Josh!
Oh man, okay, well.
Oh, Josh.
The comedy factor just went up about tenfold, everybody, so Josh, so yeah, no pressure. All right, so anyway, so yeah, it was an honor when Kurt asked me to step in for him and do his talk on what he normally calls Who's Got My Money. So this is one of the first times I'm presenting a talk about this particular subject, so forgive me if I have to refer to my notes. He kind of had me do this at the relatively last minute, so I'm going to do my best to give you some bad advice and point you in the wrong direction, as I like to tell people. So yeah, woohoo, thank you very much. All right, so now for anybody who might be interested, my background is actually in the entertainment, as an entrepreneur. My background mostly comes from the music and entertainment industry, specifically more like the live music and entertainment industry. But how does that tie in with what we're doing here today? I've certainly had to raise capital and raise funds for shows that I produce and place on touring, shows and things like that all over the world. So that requires a fair amount of capital. The difference is that what I do usually doesn't solve a problem for anyone. In fact, it usually creates problems. So hopefully what you guys do is, actually does have some value in the marketplace and is way more valuable than the mindless entertainment kind of stuff that I produce. So, all right, so today we're going to dive into a topic that is pretty near and dear to your hearts, and I'm sure probably to your bank account, and that is sales as the best way to raise capital for your startup. So, as you probably know, who here has ever tried to actually raise money for a startup before? Okay, we got a couple of people in here, and forgive me if I have to do this because the light's kind of in my eyes. But, okay, cool. How many of you, so I'm assuming the rest of you have never tried to raise capital before, correct? Okay, cool. Traditionally, there's I'm just going to go over kind of like the 4 basic ways that people traditionally go about trying to find capital for their startups. And the 4 usual suspects, as I call them, and again, feel free to take notes. For those of you, just right off the bat, for those of you that aren't able to take notes, no problem. You can connect with me later on afterwards, and I'm happy to give you my cliff notes to this. So don't worry about taking notes if you don't want to. I'm more than happy to share mine with you as well. But the 4 basic kind of methods for generating capital traditionally have been VCs, venture capitalists, people that, actually are in the business of doing that. Angel investors, right? Crowdfunding is very popular. And then, of course, you've got bank loans. So those are generally kind of the four basic ways to, more traditional ways to raise capital for your venture. So we're going to kind of break down each one of those and, what's good about them, what's bad about them, and then we'll finally kind of talk about the subject that I'm here to discuss, which is why I think sales is actually, and revenue is actually the best form of capital. So obviously we'll start with venture capitalists, or VCs, right? I kind of liken them to like mythical creatures of the startup world. They kind of swoop in and throw you money, and then apparently all of your problems are solved, right? Yeah. Who agrees with that? Oh, yeah, there we go. So who here thinks that when a venture capitalist throws you money that everything is just taken care of magically? I don't see a lot of hands go up, and that's because it's not real. It's not really a thing. If you think about it, VCs are kind of like the best friend that you never knew you had until they start asking you to change everything about your entire business, right? So I would say, remember this. They're not just giving you money, they're also buying a piece of your business, and so the more they give you, the more ownership they have, obviously. And it also means they're kind of buying a piece of your soul, because a lot of you, I'm sure, have businesses that you started based around a passion, right? Something that you think would really change and impact the world, where as soon as you start taking money from VCs, well, they have a stake and can kind of sort of tell you what to do. I liken it in my industry to, the music and entertainment business, right? The guy gets the record deal, and next thing you know, they're changing their look and their sound and their style and all that stuff. Same thing for businesses. If someone's going to give you money, then they obviously have a stake and a say in what you do. So just think about that as you consider navigating those waters. It's a little different than, there's repercussions to that. So, and there's going to be repercussions to all of these things. Next, we have angel investors, right? Has anybody here ever sought out angel investors or looked into it? Cool, fantastic, cool. Oh, okay, cool, fantastic. So, angel investors, they can be fantastic. I like to say they're kind of like the rich uncle who really believes in you, which is just a funny aside. I actually do have one of those rich uncles, but I've never capitalized on that relationship. And one of the reasons why is because even the rich uncle or the angel investor, they want a return on their investment, right? You got to plus it's not as easy to find them. You got to find them. You got to pitch to them. You got to convince them that your startup is the next big thing. And it's kind of like trying to get a date with a celebrity. It's almost impossible. But if you can find them, they're great. But again, they own a piece of your business and therefore a piece of your soul and or intellectual property. How about crowdfunding? We've all heard of crowdfunding. I've certainly contributed to stuff that I thought was cool, right? Wow, this looks like a cool little gadget. Crowdfunding is great. It's kind of like throwing a big party and then hoping that all of your guests are very generous and throwing money at you. And hey, listen, it's pretty simple. You put your idea out there, and if people like it, maybe they throw you some money. And it's great for generating buzz, and certainly for from a marketing perspective and building a list. But it's not necessarily a guaranteed source of capital. So since it's all based on what you can raise and from strangers. And and how good of a value proposition you actually present to those strangers. And plus, if you fail to deliver on your product and your promises, then you have a bunch of angry internet strangers that are going to go after you. So, crowdfunding, is can be a viable form of raising capital, but again, there's pros and cons with that as well. But it's very popular. And then finally, we're going to talk about bank loans. Anybody here ever tried to get a business bank loan? Cool, yeah.
$500,000 with interest.
Well, there you go, man. My hat's off to you. Seriously, bank loans. I like to say it's kind of like dating a really sensible person. They're pretty reliable. They're steady, and kind of boring. Banks want collateral, as I'm sure you've probably given them. And then they want interest, of course. And ultimately, they want their money back on time. So if you miss a payment, you might kind of find yourself in a scene straight out of a mob movie where, you end up in the desert somewhere, except instead of your kneecaps, it's your credit score that's on the line. So definitely you want to consider the bank loan. How did the bank loan work out for him? Were you able to make sure that they were happy without ending up 6 miles out or 8 miles out and 6 feet deep?
Yeah, so my business over time started generating cash, and over the years it started getting enough revenue where I could get loans. So the first loan was 80 grand, and I bought
wow.
an office and some furniture. The next loan was maybe 150 grand, and then I had 2 for $250,000 each.
Yeah.
One was an SBA loan. It helped a lot because, the business was generating a lot of cash. I wanted to buy a house and do some things. So this is where I was able to take the loan proceeds to run the business, and I could actually take profits out of the business to actually live a life.
Yeah.
And then the bank, they're more picky about the money and everything, but they don't say shit about how you run the business.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care.
They just want their payment back, and
Yep.
that's that.
Yep. That's a great point. So you're not necessarily tied to, they don't have an opinion. They don't really care as long as you're paying them back. Now it sounds like you actually were generating some revenue prior to going to seek out that funding, which made it a lot more attractive to the bank to give them money. You were much less of a risk, which is kind of what we're talking about today. So that's why I think sales, in my opinion, is kind of the superior option if you can do that, if your business is in a position where you can do that. And again, forgive me if I have to refer to my notes here, but so why do I think sales is the best way to raise capital? And the answer is very simply because it's sales. At the end of the day, it's the lifeblood of your business, or any business for that matter. At the end of the day, we all love to make an impact. We all want to know that our idea is going to change the world, but a business, we're all here, we all know this, a business requires, at the end of the day, that you make money. Hopefully a healthy profit in order to stay alive in the marketplace and to continue doing what you do. So when you make a sale, you get the money and you still get to keep control, right? No one's telling you how to run your business. You don't owe anyone anything except delivering on your amazing product or service, right? You're only really accountable to your customers, right? So, and that's kind of the beauty of bootstrapping, which can kind of be a scary word. It's like, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Obviously, that's where that comes from. But it's really about using your own revenue to grow your business, right? And the best part about that is that you can retain most of the control and call most of the shots, because you're in control. You own that business, and therefore you've generated the revenue to keep that going and to keep it alive, especially if you're able to ramp up some decent sales revenue in the early phase of your venture. So let's talk about how sales can actually validate an idea, because that's what these startups are, right? They're basically, you come up with an idea, and now you test it out in the marketplace, and if people are actually giving you money, hey, that's fantastic. So that's a great way to validate whether your idea is even worth putting out in the marketplace. So making a sale isn't necessarily just about making money, it's about validation. People buy your product, they're telling you that yes, this is worth my hard-earned cash, and that feels really great. So obviously, it's nice to know that the idea that you dreamed up in your spare time is having enough of a positive impact on someone's life that they're actually willing to part with their money and pay you for it. So in order to make that happen on a regular basis, it would be to your advantage to learn at least some fundamental sales skills, right? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
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 Yeah.
Absolutely.
We wanna make that
Absolutely.
money.
Got to make that money. Come on. Make them sales. So now I want to apologize if there's any master sales ninjas in here. This is going to be Dave and I have been around some sales ninjas over the years, so this might be kind of old hat to Dave, but if this is a little too rudimentary for you, I apologize. This is certainly not a master class on how to sell people your pen like Jordan Belfort or the Wolf of Wall Street. We're kind of just scratching the surface with some basics. But there's a ton of resources, both paid and free, that are out there across the internet if you want to really take a deeper dive into the world of sales, but if you at least start implementing some of the techniques that we're going to talk about here, then you'll be very much well on your way to making the connections that would could eventually start moving the needle for your business in the right direction. So we're going to talk a little bit about the art of selling. So let's get into some of this. Now, if you don't have any sales experience, you're probably not going to, like I said, you're not going to walk out of here like a master salesman, like Jordan Belfort or Grant Cardone or any of the people that you guys see on the internet. But that's okay. But here's some basic tips. Now, I've got about 5 basic tips. These are going to seem pretty obvious, right? But again, we're here to kind of talk about the fundamentals. It's always important to master the fundamentals. So here's one. Know your product. It shouldn't be a problem, obviously. If you don't believe in your product, why would anybody else? You're the architect of your venture, so no one's going to know your product more than you. No one's going to care about your product or service more than you. So it's the ball is in your court to be able to convey not only what your product or service does, but the value that it puts into the marketplace. So definitely really hone in on knowing your product, not just from your own perspective, but kind of taking that 10,000-foot view, and how does what I do make a difference? Will anyone care about what I'm doing? I mean, you're really close to it, but I don't know what you do. You can try to explain to me with a bunch of buzzwords. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know what I mean? A lot of you people in here are way smarter than me, a lot more brilliant. You know exactly why you've started your venture and what it does, but I don't. An investor may not. They see 1,000 pitches a day. So, like a TV executive, they see 1,000 pitches for TV shows, or a record company. 1,000 demos. Doesn't matter. They're going to look at the viability of your product or service in the marketplace, and will it be a smart return on investment for them. So just something to keep in mind. Knowing your customer, that all ties in with this. Understanding their pain points and how your product solves those pain points. Again, I don't know if your product or service is a fit necessarily to me. So there's definitely a lot of target marketing that goes hand in hand with this, right? You see a lot of products that just or services that just kind of pop up on your news feed. And one of the reasons why they pop up on your news feed is because you've indicated at some point that you have an interest in whatever that is. Like just the other day, I was actually looking for some, help putting this presentation together. And then all of a sudden, never before, but like this morning, I started saying, put your pitch deck together. And we've got a new service and a new site to put and it was all based on what I was looking up, how I was searching. So clearly there's some technology that's tied in all this, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But definitely knowing your customer, creating in marketing circles what they call your customer avatar. And again, a lot of this is probably really basic, surface level stuff for you guys. So we're not here to really dive into a master class. All of this you can investigate this stuff later on. But these are just some points to explore and to consider. The next one is, especially when it comes to sales, being persistent. No doesn't mean never. It only means not right now. I mean, how many guys in here, if there's anybody here that's married, I'm sure you probably asked somebody, on a date or something. Maybe she said no the first time, and you followed up. Were you persistent, but you weren't creepy? And so that certainly helps. Certainly helps. What's that? Was somebody creepy when they tried to?
No, I said that's always the borderline. It's like it's getting creepy.
There's a fine line between persistence and being a pest. So we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, just keep in mind, persistence is certainly key, whether it's in marketing, sales, particularly in sales. But just remember, no doesn't necessarily mean never. It just means, maybe not right now. Maybe not right now until you start developing some sales, until you start bringing in some revenue. Like, okay, well then it'll be a lot more interesting. Oh, you look really good now. You changed your hair, you changed your wardrobe. Okay, I'm willing to talk to you now. Same kind of thing in business. Building relationships. Obviously, people buy from those that they know, like, and trust. I mean, for example, Dave and I have known each other for, 6, 7 years, something crazy like that. 5 years now?
5 years, 2 months, and 14 days.
Wow, he's keeping count, because I mean, he's every excruciating second of it that he's known me. But yeah, Dave is part of my network. There's an old saying, and we'll revisit this stuff, but your network is your net worth. We've heard that several times, and it's very true. I mean, there's a lot of deal flow that's come either from things that I've sent to somebody like Dave or things that he's sent over to me. And so building your network is going to be key. Starting where you are, bloom where you're planted, right? But definitely, you can always start where you're at, but then grow that network. That's the beauty of utilizing technology, social networking tools, Facebook, all that. Hey, Dave, how's it going, brother? Oh, that's a lovely fuzzy microphone you got there. Okay, cool. I got this one, I got this one, I got that one. That's pretty cool. So, and then of course, following up, right? The old saying, the fortune's in the follow-up. Don't be weird. It kind of goes with that saying. You can follow up without being weird or stocky, but definitely, don't be a stranger and completely ghost people, obviously. You're probably going to meet some people here today that may or may not be a good fit for what you do, what you sell, what you're working on, or possibly somebody you can maybe collaborate with on a professional level. So take advantage of these connections. After we're done, I'm certainly happy to share my contact information with you. So don't send me 1,000 emails and text messages, but definitely follow up in a respectful, healthy manner. Don't just go away. Too many times I've seen at networking events, and I'm guilty of this as well, you get some great contact information, you meet somebody who is really, don't get my bald spot, you're gonna meet some people that, that are, again, could be a perfect fit. Jesus, get in the front. But look, we can talk like that to each other. But you probably won't see them again until the next event. And if that's the case, it could be, hey, I was waiting to hear from you. I'm actually guilty of that with Josh. Josh is one of the coolest, funniest dudes I've ever met in my life, and I love cool, funny people, right? And he's brilliant and he's smart. And I dropped the ball. Why? Because he's on LinkedIn. I don't spend a whole lot of time on LinkedIn, right? But I should. You're the only reason why I go on LinkedIn, honestly, to tell you the truth. So just know that if you see me posting, I'm trying to get your attention. So there you go. Yes. But hey, so everything I'm telling you here today is all stuff that I need to do for myself as well. So I'm reminding myself as much as I'm telling you here. The teacher is definitely the student in this situation. So inevitably, when you talk to all of these people and you make all of these connections, you're going to probably face some rejection, right? Whether that's in business, dating, whatever. I keep bringing up dating, which is weird because I've been married for like 15 years. I don't know anything about the dating pool. But I do know that, again, the fortune's in the follow-up, and you're going to get rejected quite a bit. Some people are not going to see your vision. They're not going to like the way you look. They're not going to like the way you smell. They're going to have some weird reason for not wanting to do business with you or hang out with you, which is fine. Because what's the old saying? Like if your product or service is for everybody, then it's really for nobody. I mean, unless you're Google and or Microsoft. Well, we won't talk about Microsoft. Too soon. It was CrowdStrike. They had one job. Anyway, I would say they're supposed to prevent those things from happening, not cause it. Although I'm sure, I don't know, anybody hear about what happened yesterday? Yeah, I had to rescue several people from delayed flights. That was my day yesterday, and putting this together. So there we go. So obviously, look, rejection is part of the game. If you're not getting rejected, you're not trying hard enough. Honestly, you're not asking enough people. There's the old saying, go for no. That's cool. The more no's you get, the closer you're going to get to a yes. I mean, statistically speaking, every no brings you closer to a yes, and which is kind of true. If your product or service is truly valuable, then and you stay in the game long enough. Sometimes it's just a matter of just being in the game long enough. You'll definitely get more frequent. The yeses will get more frequent. And and when you get to that point, then hey, it's kind of worth it. All those no's. As I say, man, a lot of people turned down the Beatles. So there you go. A lot of people said no. A lot of people said no to Elvis. A lot of people said no to Stevie Wonder. Nope, sorry, not interested. But there you go. But now you look back and say, hey, they did it. So leveraging your network. Again, one of my favorite sayings: your network is your net worth. If you want to write that down, that's cool. If not, I'll send you the notes, but that is definitely a phrase worth committing to memory. Keep that in the hard drive. Your network is your net worth. It's true. And a lot of my or at least some of my net worth has come from this, maybe not this room, but certainly this group and the people that I've met in this group because of folks like Kurt and Dave Berlin over there, and and Josh, who runs this whole thing. So it's always good to see people that you know and network with those people. People like to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. This is all, again, very basic surface stuff. I know this is all stuff that you can hear on the internet. You can find this stuff wherever you go. But I like to, again, it's important to master the fundamentals and just be reminded of that. Now your network doesn't necessarily have to be the people, strangers that you meet. It can be family, friends, colleagues, former colleagues. These are your first potential customers, right? A lot of people do this in the world of network marketing. They go after their friends and their family, make a list of your 100, the people that you want to go after, friends, family, colleagues, people that already kind of sort of know, like, and trust you. As an aside to that, the challenge with going to your warm network, as it were, is that if this is a new idea or a new business venture, whether it's your own or whether you're doing network marketing, any business venture where you're reaching out to your people, your network, they may not see you as that entrepreneur, right? They know you as, a kid. They know you as whatever you've done for your whole life, especially your family. They know every embarrassing, stupid thing you've ever done, right? So they may not be your customer base, but it's certainly valuable. Their opinion could be valuable for getting some feedback, right? I mean, because this has happened on more than one occasion to me. I've put something out there to the people that I know, to the people that I love, my family, my friends, like some sort of maybe like a marketing suite or something that I've worked on or helped develop or helped sell at the time. And, oh yeah, that's great. And they don't pay attention. And the next thing you know, they're buying either the same thing or something similar from somebody else. Why? Because they didn't associate me with that product. I'm not well known, but I'm known in this community, the Vegas community, for music, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm a little more known in these circles for tech, entrepreneur stuff, startups. So know your people, know where they are, but just keep in mind that your warm network might not be as warm as you think or as receptive to your business idea. So if nothing else, maybe they're valuable for some bad ideas and some feedback, right? Cool. It's okay to laugh, by the way, if I'm being funny. If not, that's all right too. See, that's valuable feedback. My feedback is this guy doesn't have any good jokes, which, thank God I'm not here to tell jokes, but I do like to pepper him in. So, now, how do you build relationships without necessarily being weird or needy, right? We're going to talk about that. This is pretty crucial. You want to build relationships that without being annoying to every person that you come across. I know this is I'm putting people to sleep with my dulcet tones, but it's true. Don't be annoying, right? There's five little points here that I kind of want to make when it comes to networking without being annoying or weird or creepy. One, be genuine. Kind of goes without saying, right? Josh is a pretty genuine guy. Dave is a pretty genuine guy. I mean, your personality goes into what you do with your business. I'm sure your business was kind of conceived very much so with your personality in mind, or at least something that was near and dear to your heart. So definitely, keep true to your personality. And be authentic. That goes a long way. Don't try to be somebody you're not. People can smell disingenuous and insincerity from a mile away. The other thing is, and this is interesting because I'm doing most of the talking, but definitely listen more than you talk, especially when it comes to sales. If you've ever been stuck in a conversation where somebody else just kind of keeps going on and on and on and on and on about themselves, it's weird, and you kind of want to get out of the room. I understand it. So definitely listen to your potential customers, understanding their needs, and then how you can show up to help them. So listening more than you talk is definitely a fundamental skill, not just for sales, but in life in general. And again, follow up, but don't stalk. Don't be creepy. There's a fine line between persistence and pestering. A friendly follow-up email or sales call is fine, but like I said, 20 texts in a day is going to come across really weird, like weird and needy, right? And hey, be respectful of their time. This, especially if you're talking to anybody that's potentially going to give you money. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy, and time is money, is the old saying. So if somebody says they're not interesting, thank them for. If they're not interested in what you have to sell them or talk to them about, that's cool. Thank them for their time. Move on. Part as friends, and just again, remember that no might only mean not now. Doesn't mean never. There's a whole lot of fish in the sea, as Fat Albert sang on the TV show. If anybody remembers that, I'm kind of dating myself, but that's okay. So, how you can use sales to scale your efforts. Again, this is all pretty obvious stuff, but once you've made a few sales, then you can actually start to think about scaling that up. So this is where things can get exciting. You've proven that there's a market for what you do, your product, your service, and now it's about reaching more people, right? You can consider hiring a sales team if you're really wanting to ramp things up. You can use digital marketing, leverage partnerships, relationships. So these are a few things that we can talk about as well. As I said, I got about an hour to kill here, so this is so we can dive a little deeper into all of this. So let's talk about, first off, how you can utilize technology to scale this kind of thing. Obviously, if you are not afraid to learn some skills, I'm going to assume everybody in this room is at least somewhat tech savvy, right? I know Josh is. I know Dave sometimes is. Just kidding. Dave's actually gotten a lot better at being a little more tech savvy. But yeah, if you are okay and comfortable with learning some new skills, technology can actually be one of your best friends. You can things like funnels, CRM systems, social media marketing tools, all that stuff. And there's a ton of resources out there that can help you reach and manage more customers and potential clients. Now, I am no stranger to building a funnel or 200, but needless to say, that's a whole other conversation for another time. But it's never been easier or more affordable to utilize any number of tools to help you automate at least a lot of the outreach, if not nurturing the leads that you can generate online and off, actually. So let's talk about, for a second, I'm going to divert from the script here for a minute. Initially, Kurt said, hey, talk about funnels, how funnels can be used for generating revenue for your startup. Who here knows what a funnel is, right? Everybody knows what a funnel is, right? A marketing funnel. Now, a lot of times people think of marketing funnels, they think, oh, I got to create this really complex, technical, there's going to be 12 pages, there's going to be upsells, downsells, click funnels, all that kind of stuff. A funnel doesn't have to necessarily mean that it's on the computer or a phone. It doesn't have to necessarily be a digital funnel. A funnel can be somebody's business card, getting them into building a list, getting them into your CRM if you want to utilize that kind of technology, and following up with them. That would be, you'd have to follow up manually, but technology, funnels and technology, they just help you automate the process. But a funnel, and again, stop me if you've heard this one, but a funnel is basically a sequential manner of walking people through your sales process. From the introduction, hey, nice to meet you, here's something cool. Here's a free resource that is exactly what you're looking for, that could solve an immediate problem for you. And then the next page, hey, thanks for taking me up on that. Thanks for joining my email list. I'm going to be providing you with some value regularly. And you can do that through leveraging technology, sales funnels. But again, don't necessarily default to thinking that a funnel means ClickFunnels, technology, putting together complex upsells, downsells, pages, all that kind of stuff. If and when you get to that point, yes, then they can be very necessary. But, sales funnels from a technical standpoint are also starting to get a little old. When you click an ad and somebody asks, hey, I got my free video. Really? I got to give you my email address and my phone number just to watch a video? Put it up on YouTube. Why? So funnels, at least the way that they're working nowadays, maybe they've kind of been played out. But keeping in mind, the word funnel is just a sequential way of walking your prospective clients or customers through your sales process. So that can happen online or off. Phone calls, business cards, getting someone's information. As long as you have a way to walk them through your sales process that eventually leads to a sale and eventually maybe leads to an upsell. And if they don't want to buy your expensive thing, then a downsell. That's cool too. So that's where automation and technology comes into play. So how does this translate into retaining an army of happy customers and clients? So getting a new customer feels great. Honestly, it's one of the best feelings out there. It's also one of the hardest things to do. Keeping an existing customer is also very challenging, can be very satisfying, but what's the saying? They say it's easier to generate a new customer than to keep, or no, it's easier to keep an existing customer than to get a new one, right? So keep that in mind. Keeping your people happy is much easier than having to spend money and time trying to make up for the customers that you pissed off, 2 weeks ago or a couple months ago because you didn't deliver on your services. So definitely keep that in mind. So focus on customer service, follow-up, and nurturing long-term relationships, right? Again, the fortune's in the follow-up. So how you treat those people. A lot of airlines are going to be testing that theory this week, right? How do they make their customers happy? I don't know. Here you go, free flight, free voucher, something. But take care of your people. If they've given you money in the past, then that means that they're more than likely to give you money in the future. So take care of them. And I've done this even in seemingly different kinds of businesses. Again, entertainment business. I produce shows. I sell people on really expensive bands and really expensive events. And I always make sure that I follow up and I treat them like gold, because inevitably they're going to call me back next year and next year and next year. I've got 10 years of clients that have called me back. Right now, I've got 5 guys playing at a casino in Arizona for the second or third time. Cool. Why? Because I've fostered that relationship, and they know that they can rely on me even if I'm not there. They rely on the people that I send to them. So definitely. And the other cool thing is that you can reward your customers. You can actually make them part of your business. Who here has ever participated in an affiliate program or a referral program, right? Nobody? Only 2 people? Okay, 3? Really? Okay, 4. You've never, like the rest of you haven't ever signed up for like Amazon Associates or something like that? If there's a product or a service that you really like, especially online, sign up for an affiliate program. Hey, you never know when someone's going to need that Rode microphone or this, laptop. Great, cool. Hey, here's my link. Definitely, you can reward. That's how Amazon, or that's how these businesses, they reward their loyal customers. Anybody who's going to be that invested to using a product or a service on a regular basis, become one of the salesmen. They don't have to pay you a salary. They just pay you every time you make a sale. A happy customer can actually be your best salesperson. There's a lot of ways and incentives to reward your most loyal customers financially with things like referral programs, affiliate programs, all of that. Loyalty, rewards, things like that. Anytime you go to the grocery store, you get rewards points because they're rewarding you for being a loyal customer on their list. Now, obviously, there's financial benefits of growing your startup or growing your venture through sales as opposed to going out begging for money. So when you grow your startup through sales and revenue, you get to keep equity and control of your company. You can maintain, as I say in my business, the artistic integrity, so to speak. You're not giving away chunks of your business to investors, and probably investors that honestly aren't as emotionally invested in your or attached to your business as you are. But if you're able to demonstrate the ability to generate at least some kind of consistent cash flow, then you'll be in a much stronger position to negotiate when you do need to seek outside funding. It's always best to approach people when you don't necessarily need them, or when you're doing so well that they come to you. Some of the best advice I ever got was that it's always better to come to the table from a position of strength. Again, I'm going to make that dating reference again. The less needy you come across, the more likely you are to attract that person to you. And if somebody starts to take notice, like, oh my God, this crazy idea, They're actually making money. They got customers. Hey, I happen to run a hedge fund, and I'd love to maybe throw some money at you, maybe partner up with you. Great. Those are the kind of deals you want. Those are the kind of interactions you want. Because then you have leverage. You have control. You can tell them, well, this is great. I don't need you. I liken it to my business, the music business. Everybody wanted a record deal. Record deal's just a loan, with a really bad loan. You'd be better off just getting a bank loan. But nowadays, people are writing and recording Grammy-winning albums in bedrooms. They don't need a record label. We can distribute it to everybody, to the world. I can write and record and produce a song on my phone right now and get it out to the world. Now, obviously, there's marketing, there's things that goes with that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people in my world, a lot of artists that I know, who have created something and they've built up a list, so much so that even with a list of, say, 1,000 people, they've made more than if they signed some really bad record deal, got a really bad loan, and end up with no money, even though they may have sold, 50,000, 500,000, maybe $1 million. You always heard stories. That's not just it doesn't just pertain to the entertainment industry. It's all business at the end of the day. That very much applies to business, startups. There's a lot of parallels that run between my world in music and entertainment and the startup community. At the end of the day, you're building something. You have a startup, you have an idea. I create shows. Cool. You like this yacht rock band? You like this, 90s, boy band idea? Great, cool. I'll sell it to you for your event or whatever if it ties in with that. But at the end of the day, I've got more leverage because I've built up a reputation in Vegas over 26, almost 27 years here. So you get to know a lot of people. As an aside, who here is new to Vegas? Yeah? This is going to be, if you go out to more things like this, you're never going to make better friends. Cool thing about Las Vegas is that it seems like a big town. Obviously, the Strip and all the stuff, all the movies and all the TV shows and all the cool stuff about Vegas as a city. I've been some of the best lifelong friends. If I ever move from this town, Dave is still one of my best friends. Kurt Walker is still one of my best friends. You know what I mean? There's people that I know who will walk through the gates of hell with you. And there's a lot of that here in Vegas. It's still small enough to where if I'm driving on the freeway, I sometimes will look over and, oh my God, hey, how you doing? It's still weird. It's a big town with still kind of a small town vibe.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that forever. It's in no time flat. But like I said, I've been here 26, almost 27 years, and it's still, it still kind of feels like that. So tap into the community, definitely. Make friends, build your network. Some of these people are going to be the best friends that you've ever made. So let's see, I'm just going to refer back to my notes here. Okay, so let's go over some real life examples. I've kind of breezed right through a lot of this stuff, but there actually are a few real life examples of companies that have grown through sales that you may have heard of, right? And without going to specifics, companies like MailChimp, Basecamp, if anybody's ever used that before, it's kind of like a Slack, kind of, like Asana or Slack or something like that. It's a communication tool, helps you organize your company. That started through revenue. GoPro, another big brand. Those are all they all started with sales-driven growth, and now they're considered to be leaders in their respective fields. So I would encourage you to check out some of the strategies that they have used. You can certainly kind of look those companies up: MailChimp, Basecamp, GoPro, those things. I don't really know exactly the specifics of what they did, but you can certainly look them up and try to mirror some of that, right? You can use their stories of how they scaled their businesses in the early stages and let those stories inspire you to find a sales and revenue strategy that works for you and your business. So that is kind of it as far as my presentation goes. So I'm happy to open up the floor to some questions. Just FYI, I'm probably best suited when it comes to questions about like the actual art of sales, communication, that kind of thing, keeping it real, as it were. But I'm happy to offer some bad advice, point you in the wrong direction if I can. Happy to do that. So please. So far, who's still alive? Who's still with me?
Yeah.
Who's just here because they wanted to get out of the sun? Totally. There's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, am I getting out of frame? Sorry, hi. internet land. Are you streaming that, or is this just being recorded to be uploaded later?
It's recorded for YouTube.
Okay, it's recorded for later. Good. Okay, cool. Please feel free to edit, generously.
They won't.
They will. They will? Okay,
No,
cool.
It's the full cut.
Ah!
Unedited.
Ah!
Jeff Celento.
Celentano, but that's okay. Who's counting? That's okay. That's all right.
Even more errors.
I know. I always tell people, I say, yeah, Celentano. It's a nice Japanese name. It's good to meet you. So yeah, any questions on sales and how to, I'm curious to know how many of you have even thought about utilizing sales and revenue as a way to, yeah? I want to hear some of your stories. Can somebody tell me about maybe a company that you had your hand up first earlier, and I'll definitely get to you as well. Yeah, what do you do? What's your situation? What's your name? All that stuff.
So my name's Cam Green.
What is it?
Cam.
Cam?
With the K like spam.
Good to meet you, Cam.
You want me to take
Let me
the
shake
mic?
your hand. You can take the mic. Yeah, absolutely, please.
So thank you. My name's Cam Green, and actually in my notes, and if I send you my email and timestamp things, I have notes that say, "Girl, you better sell." So this is actually my focus. And so right now I have a STEM education company called Junior Docs, and we focus on working with schools and students and teachers about building science, sense, and confidence. So it's the on-ramp into higher level STEM topics. And so
Love it.
I have classroom kids, I have home kids, I do professional development and things like that. But for the last several years, I've done it off the side of my desk, and now I'm full time as of 2 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
It's like,
That's great. That's great.
So that's my whole thing, because I am bootstrapping and I am getting this off the ground. Myself, I have had sales in the past. I've had sales from referrals, but now I have to take a proactive measure to that, and I'm kind of like, fish in water right now with that. So everything you're saying, I'm glad. I like Kurt, and I've been in some of his sessions, but I'm glad you were here because it just, even the fundamentals just reminded me, like, you have to sell. And it's,
Has there been any specific strategies that you've used to kind of bootstrap and scale that you impart some bad ideas?
I'm a
Here you go.
cold caller. I'm a cold call girl.
I love it. I love it.
Really great success on cold calls, and then I've had some like, please never call me again.
Yes. Yes.
So, so I start there. I've tapped a lot of my network, and I'm still trying to figure out how to retap and reach out to other people. But I will cold call, will cold email, cold LinkedIn, cold DM.
Yes.
And just, let's see what we're gonna do.
Come on. That's cool. Sell me this pen.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Anybody? I know you had your hand up. Yeah. Tell me a story. That is awesome, Cam. That's awesome. Here you go. What is your name, and tell us why you're here.
Okay.
And what you do.
I'm Nikia Davida, and my company is Mind Sonics, where neuroscience meets the power of music. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've innovated to use music and the frequencies that I've infused to reprogram subconscious beliefs in the time it takes to listen to a song. And so this is a process that's been perfected over 20 years, and now I've innovated to include the music to turn it into a software platform. So I'm in development right now. I'm self-funding, so in the past, when I launched it under a previous name, many years ago, I pre-sold. So
How did you do that? What did you do? Did you cold call people?
Actually, public speaking.
Okay.
So, speaking engagements. So at first, it was one-on-one sales, but then, as I got my messaging together, getting booked as a speaker to do, say, an hour talk on different stages in front of my ideal clients, and then built the funnel. I use Infusionsoft, now Keep.
There you go.
To do the whole landing page, free gift, opt-ins, and then automate the follow-up and things like that. So pre-sales with just a landing page and my CRM the first time, I had no website, no marketing, nothing. So with just a landing page and my follow-up campaign, I got to $100,000 in recurring revenue.
Wow.
For essentially 20 years. I hadn't had the thought to build it into something big, but now that I'm innovating, I can really infinitely scale. So I'm bootstrapping, but the strategy is definitely going to be, well, might as well do what I did last time. and pre-sell while I'm developing the tech.
That is cool. That deserves a round of applause. Absolutely. Especially a round of applause for navigating through Confusionsoft. That is, I hate that platform. There are far easier.
So hard.
There are far easier, but the fact that you have, even...
Since 2007.
That's why you're there. Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Back then, there wasn't... Yeah, okay, hey, that's good. That's good.
Seller software.
What's that?
Seller software right now.
Well, that's going to take, I'm going to go through the whole program, but I got a couple of softwares I can say. That's fantastic. We need to talk, just because we kind of sounds like...
Oh, yeah.
There was another guy who... see, Cam, thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing your story. Keep going. There was somebody that I met through this community here. I can't remember his name and what the name of his company is, but it was kind of similar. And he ended up getting venture capital. I don't know if he's still doing it. I don't know where that went, but he because I don't know exactly how he went about securing that funding. Maybe he did have some sales, but I would think that even in a niche like that, especially if you can prove revenue, then that would attract. There are investors out there that are into that. I know one of them who's got a lot of money, who speaks at Davos and those kinds of things. Like they invest in things like that.
Ultimately, I wanted approved in the VA to help. I have a trademark in process right now called Buy One, Vet One Free. So ultimately, I want it to be with each paid subscription, a veteran gets one for free. I'm an Air Force veteran myself, and so I'm really passionate about that community. I was originally going to launch it in that community, but found out that veterans really don't want to pay the subscription. So I have to go after a different market, and then the give back with my nonprofit Sisters Who Serve is to gift a veteran for free.
Okay, that is awesome. So that's probably where you connected with Dave Berlin. I remember the name of the company, Neural Tunes. I don't know if you ever heard of that, Neural Tunes. Write that down. That's that other one. I don't know where he's at with it, but I do know that he got some funding. So see if you can steal some good ideas from him. There you go. Cool. Anybody else have any stories of how they have at least begun to bootstrap their startup? Does it seem scary to go out there and try to sell your idea before it's, everybody wants to, it's got to be perfect before I start selling my idea. It doesn't.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does suck. It can suck. Although, listen, when it comes to sales, I always tell people, you have to have a certain amount of crazy to do it. You do. You have to be a little nuts to go out there and just put yourself out there. You got to be a little nuts to be an entrepreneur and start this whole thing and try to build on an idea that's sometimes never happened before, or improve on an existing idea. But you do have to be a little crazy too, especially to make cold calls, go after people, to build up a customer and client base. But once you do, again, you're going to go to a potential investor. Hey, I don't need you, but we're talking. You know what I mean? It's a pretty powerful position to come from. So there's a couple of ways to do it, like we talked about. Obviously, networking is going to be a big key to that. The fortunes and the follow-up. Figure out how you want to capture their information or attention. And it could be just as simple as doing some research in your niche and reaching out to people. Obviously, you can talk to several other experts about making a pitch deck, how to do the right pitch. But that's when you get in the room. What we're talking about today is how do you get in that room? And it's always best to get in that room and say, hey, thanks for meeting with me. I've just sold $1 million worth of stuff. So you tell me why I should partner with you, and why I should give you some of my intellectual property, and why I should give up some of my freedom, just like a record deal. Why should I why should I change my artistic integrity because you're going to give me money that I don't need, that I can generate myself? It's all about having leverage, right? And when it comes to just sales in general, there's a lot of the whole used car tactics doesn't work anymore. Be real. Talk to people, Just be real, but don't be weird. And again, there's a lot of sales trainings and sales courses and Sales programs and sales mentors and masters, Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, Jeremy Miner, all these, there's a ton of these like 20-year-old kids that are out there selling people on how to be a sales high-ticket closer. There's tons of that. I've been in that world for a long time too. But at the end of the day, it's the art of communication. It's the art of connecting with people. Dave and I can joke around and hang out and talk about music. He's also a really great DJ, by the way, if anybody is looking for some DJ services, he's really good. So he and I have, a lot of similar tastes in music, and that's great. Find the commonalities. I mean, this isn't necessarily a master class on sales. I'm not going to teach you how to be Jordan Belfort in an hour, nor do I possess those magical sales skills. But I think a lot of the sales and a lot of the business that I've been able to generate over the last 10, or actually, God, like I said, 26, almost 27 years, is built on those relationships. You never want to approach them in a needy way, and I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but it's pretty fundamental. Connect with people. Find out if what you have to sell or what you do is going to be of value to a particular niche, a particular marketplace. Go after those people. Never hurts to ask, right? Yes.
So you talk now about how you've got this 10-year track record and recurring relationships, and that's how you're kind of operating now.
Yeah.
How'd you get your first sale?
Oh man. So in my industry, it's a lot of who you know. I mean, I started, I came to Vegas in 1998. So what is it, 26, 27 years, something like that. My math is, I was told there would be no math. So in my industry, it was a lot of just networking. This was before I knew anything about websites and funnels, and before ClickFunnels came out. So a lot of it was just going out, pounding the pavement, making friends, networking in my industry. Who do you know? Who do you know? Then eventually, once I started getting those relationships and generating that business, right? Then I moved into getting into marketing and funnels and making that sales process, that customer journey, a lot more seamless. Right? Makes it way easier if somebody wants to say book one of the bands that I produce. Okay, cool. Sign up. Here's the thing. Here's the form. This is what you need. This is going to go through this funnel. We'll send you a few follow-up emails. Once you book the gig, great. When the gig is done, there's another automatic email that goes out. Hey, thanks for booking us. Can't wait to do this again. I have them set up on a CRM where I can send out happy birthday or thanks for having us back or it's been a year since we played at your venue. Hey, maybe consider having us back. And if you'd like, we can give you some sort of a freebie or a deal. Something like that. So to kind of address that question, you don't necessarily have to have these complex funnels to make that happen. It all starts with the relationship. So whether that's a relationship you build online or whether that's a relationship that you build offline, come to me. I'm happy to give you my info. Great. If there's a way that I can help you, like I said, give you some bad ideas, I'm happy to do it. Point you in the wrong direction. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, anybody who is even remotely interested in connecting with me, you can try the website. It's just like a little one-page link tree, but you can. It's joinwithjeff.com. Joinwithjeff.com. It's just kind of a funny little URL that I purchased right before today. So yeah, if you'd like to learn a little more about what I do, and then there's a little. If you scroll all the way down, there's a little email sign up. Just hit me up and I'd be happy to send you my notes from this talk. Again, it's very rudimentary, but maybe something you can glue to your wall and all that. But yeah, and if for some reason that link doesn't work, then you can certainly hit me up afterwards and say, hey, can you just give me your number? That's cool too. I'm into however you want to connect. And you should be too, right? I mean, sometimes people don't want to opt into a complex sales funnel. Sometimes people don't want to watch your 90-minute VSO. Some people don't care. Some people don't want to sit through another webinar or get on another list. That's why sales funnels can be, hey, maybe they're antiquated. I dig them. I think they're still cool, but maybe your customer base isn't into that. It's funny. Most of the people that I deal with, the audiences that I deal with for the shows and stuff that I produce, they're made for like an older crowd, like really older crowd. Like right now, I got guys, like I said, in Arizona playing in a casino for an audience that probably is going to average about 60 years old, and from 60 to dead. And, they're not going to be into the QR code. Doesn't necessarily make much sense to put up on the screen, hey, download some free music on our QR code and get on our list. They don't know what the hell that is. They don't know what that is. So that's okay. So then those are the people that I'll just talk to. And you know what? Those are the people that'll buy a ticket, buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, and then hit me up on Facebook. Where are you going to be next? Where are you going to be next? I'll show up. And they do. Repeat customers. Now those are audience members. I'm not necessarily selling to them. I'm selling to the people that are buying the entertainment, like the casinos and the events, producers and all that kind of stuff. But still, same thing. Some of those people are old and not tech savvy. You can be old and tech savvy. I know plenty of people like that too. I'm kind of old and somewhat tech savvy. So there you go. But yeah.
You're utilizing the upselling tactic though.
What's that?
I mean, you've already sold them the ticket, so now you're selling the merch.
Yep.
You're upselling.
Absolutely. And that is a perfect example of an offline funnel, right? So don't get so bogged down like, oh my God, I got to have these complex marketing funnels. No, you don't. You got to make a relationship. And I think one of the reasons why internet online funnels are kind of being, starting to kind of, I mean, they're always going to be used, but they're starting to get a little old now at this point, is because all you're doing is just using them to automate the relationship building process. Yeah. So if you can do that offline and shake someone's hand and look somebody in the eye, and because they can tell, I know a bullshit artist when I see one on the internet. Come on. How many ads are you going to see today on Instagram that are going to be, I've got this new great thing, and you were served up that ad because of an algorithm. This is not an algorithm. This conversation is not an algorithm.
People are also craving human interaction.
Absolutely.
Relationships, like the online stratosphere has its place, but nothing is ever going to be the interaction that you and I have as a human being.
Amen. In fact, I want you to say that again in the microphone for anybody who didn't hear that. Tell us your name and where you're from, sir.
My name's Bruno, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I've been out here in Vegas for more than 15 years.
Cool.
Nothing will ever replace the human interaction as far as looking somebody else in the eye. The online stratosphere has its place, but social media has kind of become anti-social media. People are more interested in,
arguing.
Yeah,
Fighting.
No, I'm not.
yeah,
He's great.
You should cancel.
But for myself, nothing beats human interaction. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because you can build rapport, you can build a relationship. It's so much easier than sending somebody an email
Yep.
and interacting, again, through the online stratosphere.
Yep.
I'd much rather meet and interact with people here than trying to do it online.
Yep.
Even through like a Zoom phone call. And unfortunately, the pandemic kind of got us away from the relationship building aspect. And, I love it. Personally, I love meeting somebody, building that relationship. And I'm super outgoing, so that particular time period was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
I want to go to an event and interact with 10, 15, 20,000 people.
Absolutely.
If it's that. And that's why I love the entertainment side, and I'm in that like you are as
Oh,
well.
cool.
So I do bodyguard work.
Oh, cool.
Details, so I'd actually love to talk to you about
Cool,
that.
yeah,
Talk to you,
absolutely.
See what kind of
Yeah.
entertainers you have if they need.
I mean, mostly non-famous people that don't
Yeah,
need bodyguards,
yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
I'll walk in the room with one to make me look important, sure.
Absolutely, but yeah, I mean, I think that's what we really need to get back to is just the human interaction element and just
Yes.
building relationships.
1000%. 1000%.
And the social media needs to take a back step.
Yeah,
basically,
absolutely.
behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, man. Thank you. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. All of this stuff was invented as an additional adjunct to actually going out and meeting people, which is why it's great that everybody that's in this room has showed up today on a Saturday morning in Las Vegas. And I know I'm putting you to sleep.
I slept for 2 hours last
That's
night.
okay.
Don't
Me
take it
too.
personally.
I was worried about this talk. I was like, how the hell am I going to pull this off?
You're
So
killing it.
I don't know. I don't know about that. This is my first keynote, by the way. So thank you for suffering through this with me. But yes.
Just impressed you haven't knocked that laptop off.
I'm impressed that this music stand hasn't collapsed. So I'm
Getting really close.
gonna do this right now. Here we go. I'm gonna do that
Hey,
right
my nerves are
now.
better.
Yeah, thank you. I know. I was like, Kurt texted me from like Italy today and said, "You got everything you need?" I said, "Do they have a podium?" "No, bring a music stand." Shit, I didn't have one. So thank God they had one. But yeah, the fact that you're all here at you showed up at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in Las Vegas in 100. Yeah, on a hot Saturday in 100 and what is it going to be, like 115 today, something like that? Can't be more than 114. If anybody likes Blazing Saddles. But yeah, the fact that you're here speaks way more. That speaks volumes, as opposed to just, I'm just going to send them a message on Instagram. I'm sending them a Facebook message. I'm sending them an email. That's fine. All of that is great. All of that is great. But look somebody in the eye when there's not a light shining in your face, and get to know people. Foster those real relationships. You know, Dave Berlin calls me. Sometimes we'll text. He doesn't send me emails. If he wants to get a hold of me, he calls me on the phone. And I know that's antiquated. But the cool thing is that offline is kind of the new online, if you think about it. So if you want to be cool and you want to kind of be rebellious, then, hey, pick up the phone. Call somebody. Make a relationship. Show up at an event. Shake someone's hand. Look them in the eye. You know what I mean? Look at Josh and go, wake up! It's cool. But yeah, so I think that is pretty much it. I think I've exhausted my time. And if anybody doesn't have any further questions, I do want to thank you for putting up with me for the last hour or so. And yeah. And again, in my humble opinion, and I will read from my script here, the best way to raise capital for your startup is to sell, sell, sell. So get out there and make some sales and hopefully change some lives and get some attention. And again, if anybody wants to connect with me online or off, you can certainly come up to me and I'll give you my number. But I also joinwithjeff.com. Nothing wrong with utilizing technology, but I'd love to shake your hand. So if nobody else has any other questions, was that okay? Did I give you a couple of bad ideas? Cool. All right, Tech Alley, go easy on me and enjoy the rest of your day. And the food's great, so stick around long enough to have lunch. I certainly am. Thank you, folks. Anytime.